wants to play some Minecraft. My name is Adam. I play Minecraft occasionally. I mean, 2 out of 3 streams every week are Minecraft related. So I'm building a pyramid, as it says, and oh no. And I wanted to build the pyramid solid. And people were telling me that was a bad idea. And I calculated how many blocks it would take. And it was like 1,000,000 something. And I was like, that's a reasonable amount of blocks for such a project to take, right? But what I didn't calculate, which I asked ChatGTP to do recently, I didn't calculate how much time that would take. And it told me it would take 5 straight years. And I was like, okay, that's not going to happen because I have other things I need to do in my life, like live. And then I asked ChatGTP, like, what if I make the pyramid hollow? And this is the crazy part. The crazy part is that, of course, it's less time, but the amount of less time is like mind-blowing. So to make the pyramid completely solid, it would take, as I said, 5 whole years. But to make the pyramid hollow, it would take 6.7 full days. I mean, maybe not full because 0.7. But still, that's much better than 5. I think I also didn't specify that I'm also building the base on the ocean. Oh no! Fruit allure. No, 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 no! What are you doing? My button's stuck and now I have sandstone where I don't want it. That can stay. Need to fix that though. Can I fix that from here? Hold on. Yeah, like that. That's what I wanted to do. So yeah. So also I have to, because, I mean, I don't have to, but I wasted all of this material making 10 rows solid. So now I have to get rid of the solidness so I can continue. Okay. I'll check the chat every time I fill up 2 stacks, I guess. There's one person watching from Twitch. Hello, sir or madam. I'm carefully remining this cobblestone. You may be wondering, well, why don't you just leave it solid 10 rows in? And I don't want to. That's why, but it'll look better, I think, than just, I mean, it's not going to be uneven color-wise, you know? And that's important. So I was working today, as people do, and I'm being trained for this job that I was doing before. And it's a bit lonely, honestly, because I'm not working with my team, my former team. One person from my former team is training me, which is great, but, you know, she's not even providing very timely feedback. So I started really early this morning as well. Oh, damn it. Yay. Yeah, so it's just kind of lonely. And it's a lot slower because I have to wait for feedback, right? And she does eventually give feedback, but I was waiting for like 40 minutes for something. And I was like, ugh, I'm waiting a long time for nothing. Okay. Let me check the chat. And there's still one person here. One person here. So I will deploy all of these blocks. And then I will ask the chat what they think. But yeah, the training is going better than it was last week, but like I realized it's literally like my fourth day is today, and it feels like much longer. Ooh. So I think once I get the floor done, well, the rest is going to be hard also because it's going to be sandstone. So that's going to be hard to source, I guess. Ah, damn it. But I do have a pickaxe, so I can get rid of that. I have a lot of pickaxes, as you can see. Lot of pickaxes. Eh. So, tomorrow is a holiday in my country, but I have to work. And it's weird because technically it's not a holiday today, but there was a holiday on the 1st of November that was during a weekend, but they have to give it back to you when that happens here. But so basically, the holiday was on a weekend, so everybody was not working then, but they have to give it back to you. So the day the company decides to give it back is today. So, which is kind of nice because then people have a 4-day weekend, but not my department. So basically, we have to register that we were working on a holiday, although technically it's not a holiday. So we get that day. They give the day off. You can take it off later, which is good, but it depends on the holiday. Like, the holiday in November, the 1st, is really important for Polish people. So I think that they would prefer just to take it off. Oh, there's a block floating up there. I can't do anything about that right now. We lost a person. They don't want hot pyramid building action. Yeah, my pyramid is so big that it makes cave noises. Which is great, actually. See how much cobblestone I can. Damn it. You know what? I'm not going to fix any damage I do right now. I will fix it when I get to the point of, you know, doing the next layers. Need to focus and concentrate on. No. Damn it, Adam. You did it again. You broke. This is harder than it looks. Looks so hard. Yeah, but my son was staying with me last evening, so it was kind of nice. I mean, we didn't do anything because I had to work, but kind of nice to have him around in the morning. Nice to have your kids around when you wake up. And I think that's kind of the thing that I miss being a divorced dad is like, damn it. There is not a lot. I mean, there is, but you don't get like the same kind of routine as you do when they live with you. And with my daughter being older, it's really hard to have like even a routine where I see her every week. You know, because she has other things to do and she's getting older and she might have a boyfriend. But probably I can't really talk about that. Although it's exciting. I want to talk about it, but I think that's not really my place. But it's so weird because, like, maybe last year, like, she's 16. Last year, she was like, oh, never have a boyfriend, never have a girlfriend. And now her opinions have changed. Which is fine. Your opinions can change about that, but it's very, I want to say something so bad, but I can't. Because I had a concern, and my concern was very not really appropriate to the situation she finds herself in. But, you know, she didn't laugh or anything. She was just like, Dad. You know, she explained it, so that was nice. All right. I don't know if there's anybody in who is watching this stream at all, but I should check the chat and be a gracious host. But let me go over here first. Oh, there's two people. Two people. Wait. How did that happen? Yeah, we have one person on Twitch, one person on Steam, not Steam, YouTube. Hold on, excuse me. I have a lot of clothes drying in my room, so in my apartment, so it makes my nose runny. Ah, damn it. Yeah, but it's like kind of a nice moment in your life when your kid has the first person that they're interested in. Nice moment in their life. Because, they're growing up and becoming more and more adult. But not too adult, right? And it's interesting. Maybe not interesting, but so I remember being 16 and thinking the 16-year-old girls that I met were like super, super hot. But then I look at my kid who is 16 and she looks like such a baby, and the 16-year-olds who are friends look like such babies. And I think that's good that that happens, you know, because people always wonder, well, if you're older, are you attracted to older people? And in that case, yes. There's probably a limit, right? I don't think like 80-year-old men are necessarily attracted to 80-year-old women. And I think generally there are some exceptions, but usually people in their late 40s, both men and women, do not look great. So, yeah. This is actually good because it gives me a break from pyramid building, even though I am pyramid building, to destroying things. I much more like destroying things than building stuff. But, you know, you need some kind of legacy, which is the whole point of pyramids, right? Yes, so the floor of my pyramid extends 1 kilometer in that direction. It's not done yet, but it will be. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Do, 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 do. Let me check the chat before I start on building the floor. Why does it keep doing that? I want it that way. No one wants to see my gigantic face. People would prefer Minecraft, I believe. I need to trim my beard. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yes, we go around the corner here. There! I'm falling and I can't get up. Do, 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 do. No, I'm falling again. Oh, my pyramid looks... it looks like a ruin from this angle. Oh, no. You know what? I'm not gonna... Actually, no. I got all of the pickaxes, so I think I should use all the pickaxes. And then when I use all the pickaxes, I think I'm gonna, go back to the material I already have. I keep falling into water. Do 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 do. Excuse me. Oh, I went too far again. All right, I wonder if I can make it to the end. Well, there's an island, not the end, the literal end. There's an island at the end of this side of the pyramid. The question, can I make it to that island using only these blocks? I don't think I'll be able to, but we'll see. Na, 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 na. It's Monday. I'm streaming Minecraft. Monday. So if you're wondering, I stream Minecraft. I stream Minecraft every other stream, so it's not like this week it will be 2 days, but last week it was only 1 day. In the other stream, I stream different games because I want to review. I want to be the most prolific reviewer of all time. So that involves reviewing a bunch of stuff. So I love Minecraft, so it will be like Minecraft and other games. And I think I'm going to go through my Steam library first. And then I'll move on to other games. And I did not have enough. Who would have seen that coming? Not me. Not me. Okay, maybe I will put all of these like this. And I will just harvest cobblestone until I can harvest no more. And maybe I'll go over here because at the end of this is the island, as I mentioned. And yeah, my son was telling me that they built on Mr. Beast's server, the biggest pyramid ever constructed in Minecraft? I don't know how, though, because I mean, it seems like there's a limit to how big you can build a pyramid, right? Because this one is supposed to be a kilometer wide and then a kilometer high, but the limit I think is 260 blocks high. So this is going to be a regular pyramid until it gets to that point, and then it's just going to be flat. Mm. All right. So I will check the chat when I get rid of one pickaxe. No, I can't get it. I used a lot of wood in this pyramid as well. No! Damn it, Adam. Well, at least I can go that way. Um, all right. I know what you're thinking. Why not use an axe? By the time I went and got an axe, well, basically my answer is a waste of time. Because it'll be quicker to do it this way. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay, that's where the wall ends. Okay. It's a tree. My pickaxe is not really taking much damage. Go. All right. Now, getting rid of the gravel with my pickaxe. Very efficient. No! I said this before, but that no is like Apollo, the African gray parrot. So he says no. What a smart guy. He also goes like, work, 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 work. I think he's saying work, 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 work. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, gravel I don't know what to do with because, as you can see, I was using gravel as sort of filling, but gravel's kind of pointless for me. But somebody said you could make concrete out of it, so maybe I could make concrete to figure out how to do that. Okay, I think there can be. Chopping up planks with my pickaxe. Oh. No. Oh no. Ah. Ah. What happened? Oh, because. Oh. When I looked up, it kind of like opened the menu to like minimize Minecraft and then it got stuck. So I couldn't Couldn't close it. Okay. Adam. Adam, for the love of God, stop doing that. I feel like I should just use the material I've already gathered for the floor, but I've committed, I've committed to the decision already. Oh, come on. No, that's not what I meant. I meant. Ooh. Where's the other hole? Yes, here's the other hole. Whee! Ow. Ooh, 3 people watching now. 2 people on Twitch. 1 person on YouTube. Who's better? Fight! I don't know. I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages. Damn it, Montoya! You know what I mean, Montoya? Ah! You know what I could do, which would make more sense than doing this? I'll just make this even. Because I'm going to have to do all of that on that little island there, so I'm going to need pickaxes. So I can just leave the pickaxes there. Right? Right. It's stuck again. Ah! Okay, that was... Oh, damn it. Okay. And if I need more material, I can take it from there. But I don't necessarily have to do that. I can do that, but I don't have to do that, you know? Okay, gravel. Let's put the gravel in there. Let's put the iron in there. Pickaxes. Cobblestone, no. And flint, yes. Dirt can go here. Oak planks can go here. Cobblestone can go here, here, and here. Okay. The dirt is gone. The wood is gone. I mean, almost gone. And now the cobblestone is going to get gone. More cobblestone. More cobblestone. I'm super concentrated now. $64 cobblestone. Something is biting me. Hopefully, it's not anything biting me. Hopefully, it's just itchy. All right. Back down to 2, but we're into the second hour now. The second hour. And I have to run to the baby pyramid. Have to run to the baby pyramid. Running to the baby, running to the baby. I think maybe you should look at my pyramid. Look at my pyramid. You should look at my pyramid. You should look at my pyramid. Look at my pyramid. Ugh. Huh. Yeah. I'll have a drink while we're waiting. I built all of this, if you're wondering. Probably not wondering. But in case you are. Oh, I should have taken one pickaxe because I need to make a door. Oh well, I'll make a door later. Am I going faster? I don't think I'm going faster. Okay, that was 20. Yeah, I don't think it actually matters. Look at my pyramid. My pyramid with a bunch of holes in it now. Achtung! Okay. I guess this is where the door could be. Eventually. Oh, I'm chilly. So I will get a something to wear, like a sweater. I don't know what this is. So you see this t-shirt that doesn't quite fit anymore? I got it in Spain, obviously, but the reason I got it was kind of ridiculous. I took my kids to Spain for like, I don't know, a weekend, basically. It's like super expensive. But I took them, and then I was like, you know, I didn't take enough clothes. So I am stinky and stinky and stinky. And I was thinking, oh, that's not very fair to somebody who sits next to me on the plane. So before we left, I was like running around, scrambling to find a place where I could buy a shirt. And of course, the only place you could buy shirts are like, very touristy trap places because it was like downtown Alicante. Yeah, so I got the shirt, but then I got on the plane and then I realized I'm sitting next to my kids and they're happy that I'm not like stinking or anything, but they were equally stinky. Yeah, that was a good time. I think my son and I had a good time. Well, I mean, it was a good time for my son and I because we went to the beach, but my daughter didn't go to the beach. She didn't want to go to the beach. She didn't like the beach. She went like once. I nearly lost my son. That was not great. All right. Ooh, sugar cane's pretty high. It's higher than my wall. Well, that's craziness. Okay, before I begin putting the blocks down, let me check the chat. There's still 2 people. No one's chatting yet. That's okay. You don't have to. I will check the chat when I get rid of 3 stacks. Or I fall in. Whatever happens first. So obviously I'm building the floor of the pyramid. But I wonder, because I need to use all of the materials, so I wonder what I will do. Because I'm generally making the world as flat as possible, and the pyramid is kind of like a side quest. So eventually I am going to finish the floor. So what do I do with all of the cobblestone after that? I'll probably build like big monuments. Maybe not as big as a pyramid, but, Stonehenge, the Colosseum, an aqueduct. It's itchy all the time. I think there's no bed bugs. Why did you say bed bugs? Because the office where I work is constantly being shut down because of bed bug infestation. And I don't even think it's like an infestation. I think like somebody has bed bugs, and they have been like just coming to work and then, bringing them. Which is not cool, man. Not cool. Especially, since my kids don't live with me full time. So they'd be like, obviously my ex would not want them to live here as little as they do if there are bed bugs. I wouldn't want to live here if there were bed bugs. I would abandon ship. Okay, maybe I'll do this a bit differently. I'm going to go to the end. I think I will run out of cobblestone before I get to the end, but you can place your bets. No. No. Ooh, this is when I thought I had a lot of sandstone. I see. I don't think I'm being bitten by bugs because I have the same feeling in like 3 different parts of my body. And even though it's itchy, because I think there's this is a bit gross, but I think that there's a different kind of itchy when something is like actually walking on you, Whereas it's just some reaction to the sweater, for example. Murr, 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 murr. Ooh. I'm in the zone. I don't know how many stacks that was, but maybe I'll just clean out my hotbar there and then I'll check the chat. Yeah, because I was thinking, I was in the zone and I was thinking if I wanted to share my daughter's story, and I don't think I want to. Just because it's her story to share. If she wanted to share it, and she probably doesn't want to share it with strangers on the internet. Ooh. And my son was saying that somebody figured out that there are more, because when you log into Bedrock, it gives you all of this like interesting facts about Minecraft. And one of them is that there's, 3,000 different types of tropical fish. But apparently somebody counted and there's about 6,000 types of tropical fish, which I find really weird because why is there only one kind of bird and 6,000 types of fish? I could understand if it was like Minecraft. You can fish in Minecraft, but you can't actually, it's not like, you can't have, I think there's add-ons for that, but it's not like there is, I gotta take this off. Let's see. Any bugs? I don't think so. Anyway, those bugs like the dark anyway. It's too light for them. What was I saying? Yeah, you can fish in Minecraft, but it's not like you can get different species. It just says like fish or tropical fish. So that seems a bit weird for me. Okay, let's check the chat. Maybe there's somebody here. Same amount of people here. Well, they're lost. They're missing out on this exciting Minecraft action. I watched Iron Giant for the first time yesterday. I was really sleepy yesterday, so I didn't really do it justice because I was falling asleep. But it's a pretty good movie, I have to say. Got a very profound message. It's not like overly preachy. And I think it's probably Vin Diesel's best character, apart from Groot. I am Groot. Although even better than Groot because, he does say some more things. Oh, it's raining. This is very repetitive. Yeah, my son and my daughter were here on the weekend, so it was very nice. But yeah, it's pretty lonely without them. Should get a pet, but I'm not sure how my landlord feels about pets. I don't. Looking at the state of my apartment, I don't think he cares. There's nothing in the lease saying that I can't have pets. But we'll see. Going so fast. Not going that fast, but I wonder if I'm close to the end or not. I think probably not. Ooh. I can make part of the floor of the... Oh, damn it. I don't have a pickaxe. I should have kept one pickaxe. I can make part of the floor of the pyramid glass because it's over the water. That would be kind of cool. Okay, so I don't know how much farther I have to go to the end of the pyramid. But I think I need to finish the floor first. And that's a problem because the floor is huge. Stupid plants. And I don't know, I'm not very talkative today. It's also hard to be talkative when no one is interacting with you. But that's the problem of a streamer. It's not your fault if you're just listening and watching. That's also cool. Oh, I made it to the end of the pyramid. That's the end of the pyramid right there. I gotta get. Okay. No. Work, 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 work. Two people. So the next stream, which will be on Wednesday, I think I will stream Europa Universalis 4. Yeah, that's my plan. And that will take a bunch of streams because, I mean, it depends on what I choose because if you choose a big country like um Spain or Austria or Muscovy, then there's a chance that you can actually beat the game. Maybe not beat the game. It You don't actually beat Europa Universalis, but there's a chance that the game would be very, very long. But I have played a few times as minor tribes, and the game goes much quicker. Well, once I think I was the Inca, or a tribe aligned with the Inca, and that was fun. I nearly survived. But once I was the Adawanderans, that did not work very well for me. And then I don't remember what their name was, but I was a minor tribe in Australia that also didn't work well for me. Because apparently there is some way that you can win or at least survive until the end of the game playing one of those minor tribes, but it hasn't really happened for me yet. But we'll see. Ah! My arm's itchy. Okay, there was something on my elbow, but that wasn't where my arm was itchy right there. No. I thought the distance to the other side of the pyramid was actually a lot bigger than it is. I mean, it's still pretty long though. I'm also going to need a lot of torches, I think. Well, unless I make the very top of it like a skylight. Oh, yeah. I think that will work actually, but I would need lots of sand. To make the glass. Okay. I'm going to check the chat when I connect this row to the row that's going in the opposite direction, or maybe not opposite, but perpendicular direction. Da, 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it stopped raining in Minecraft. Oh, such a horrible day today, weather-wise. Very November-y. And I don't know about you, but I get like a seasonal depression every November. Like, so far it's been pretty good. And I think maybe that's because I was sick in the beginning of November, so I felt in a different way completely about it. And I was glad to stop feeling sick. But yeah, usually I get uh, depression because it's dark. When you go to work, it's dark. When you come back from work, it's dark. And during the day, the sun is gone for most of the time. Ooh, nice fish. I suggested to my son that dolphins should actually eat fish in Minecraft. And he was like, but what about the children? What about the children who don't know that dolphins eat fish? And I'm like, I think there might be children like that, but can you imagine that you loved dolphins and you thought that they were vegetarians or something? The veggie dolphin. The veggie dolphin. The veggie dolphin. Sounds like a meal deal or something. Yeah. Also, apropos of my November depression, I think so. I live in Poland, and the part of Canada where I'm from, Canada, the part of Canada where I'm from is actually usually a lot colder than here. Like there's a lot more snow, and it gets a lot colder and a lot hotter in the summer. Like so, in summer it can be like plus 40, and like very humid as well, and it can be like not always, but occasionally it's like minus 40. Um, I don't know. Maybe now it's different with global warming, but that's when I was a kid. But the thing about it is, it's basically, I think, the same latitude as northern Italy. So there's a lot more sun than in Poland, because Poland is more northerly, actually. So yeah, that's why I can't really get used to it, also. Because, there's also not a lot of sun. Oh, that's another thing. There's not a lot of sun in Canada also during the winter. But at least when I was growing up, there was usually snow. So the snow made things brighter because obviously it would reflect the whatever minimal sunlight there was. And it does snow in Poland, but it depends on where you live. Here, it generally snows maybe like 1 or 2 weeks a year, and that's it. I mean, and it doesn't even snow the entire week. It will snow like heavily for a day or two, and then that snow will stay for a week and then melt. It must be getting close to the where it meets here. This weather reminiscence brought to you by Adam or Dr. Delicious. If you would like further weather reminiscences about weather, memories about weather, please follow me on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube. I am trying to get 150 subscribers by the end of January. I already reached the Christmas goal of 100. We're currently at 105, so it's very nice. Thank you very much to everybody who has subscribed. Nope, still 2 people. And we're halfway point of the stream. Yeah, over there is the beginning of the outer wall of the pyramid. So I think I should be able to go to the end and then a little bit back, if my calculations are right, but my calculations might be completely wrong. We'll see. It's also so strange being in Poland because people will complain, at least here in Łódź, people will complain about winter and they'll be like, oh, I wish it was so sunny. And they'll be like, oh, it's like winter is pretty sucky here, but it's not because of the typical winter things of like too much snow. It's because there's no sun, right? And it's dark for a long time. But if there was more snow, that problem would be alleviated. Yeah, anyway, I remember like growing up and there being like warnings not to build snow forts because you would build like these snow forts and then you'd like make tunnels and it'd be like, oh, well, Bobby suffocated when his snow fort collapsed on him. And, or little Johnny was run over by a plow because he tunneled in his snow fort onto the road. Which I'm sure those things actually happened, but it's a bit extreme. It's also like the tail end of the generation that had nuclear like drills, like what you were supposed to do if there was a nuclear war. And I don't know. I kind of remember that there were those when I was like really little. Like, go under your desk. But it's like, I think there's mixed messages. It's like, you know, this thing that you can is very unlikely to happen. You should be scared of. Like, very unlikely to happen, but with a high survival rate of tunneling in the snow and your tunnel collapses. You just have to dig up. Versus something that if it happened, there's no hiding under the desk that's going to help you. But I wonder if that actually happened or I just remember it happened because, you know, it may have been that I remembered. Um, I remember people talking about it, so then I kind of like because you don't really remember a lot during those early years, right? But one thing I'm pretty well, this is another example of that. Like in 1986, there was the Challenger disaster, and it was especially traumatic because people, it was the first time that they sent school teachers up on the shuttle. So they had this program where students were watching it live, and then there was an accident. So I kind of remember watching it live as well. Actually, I can check that out right now. I'm curious. Hold on, because I wonder if, let's see, did Canadian school children watch the Challenger disaster live? I think I spelled disaster wrong. Disaster live. Um, well, um, it's hard to say. I guess I would have to do more research, but it appears that it was on CNN. So I don't think my school would have had access to CNN. So it may have happened that way, or it might not have happened that way. Hold on. Let's see. Um, I need a Canadian source. This is from CBC Radio. Uh, okay. Wow. So I'm sorry about that, but I was just reading um, the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and they had a story about one of the students of that teacher who died in the explosion. And obviously, they for sure were watching that. And I think a lot of people, at least in the United States, were watching it, and maybe in Canada. Um, I don't know. Now I'm like really, really curious, but I didn't find the answer to that in like a quick Google search. Um, but anyway, so on one of the comments of that story is basically this guy saying the CBC is to blame for the Challenger disaster because they were criticizing NASA for, delaying and delaying the launch. And, the idea is that the NASA succumbed to media pressure and launched despite knowing that there were problems. And that's partially true. There was a good documentary about that, but I forgot what it was called. I forget what it was called. That's partially true, but what really happened is more like they had a problem with this thing called the O-ring, that it would distort in colder temperatures. And, you might not think that Florida has cold temperatures, but it has cold enough temperatures to distort this O-ring. And somebody told them this problem and that it could be catastrophic. And instead of listening to this person, they were like, no, you're wrong. And the reason they were delaying that launch is due to this O-ring thing, but they thought that the O-ring would go back into shape if it was warmer, which it would not. So it's not just because of the pressure, and even not primarily because of the media pressure that accident happened. So anyway, my point about that is I definitely remember talking about the disaster later with my friends during a New Year's party where we were watching all of the original Star Wars trilogy. And my friend had a toy shuttle, and he was showing us how exactly it happened. So I remember that we were talking about it, so it did affect us, but did we actually watch it in school? I'm not sure. We may have watched it later if but I don't why would they show? I mean, they showed some other pretty odd things in school, but I don't think that they would show an accident where people lost their lives intentionally. So I don't know. So now that I think about it, I would say that I probably did not watch it live because it would have had to be broadcast on oh, here's a question. Here's a question. All right. Question. Did the CBC broadcast did the CBC broadcast the Challenger launch? Yeah, so yeah, so sorry, I got distracted. Went on a little bit of a side quest there. So it appears that, as I said before, CNN broadcast it live, and generally the CBC did not broadcast shuttle launches live. They would broadcast it during the news or something. So when it happened, they probably weren't broadcasting it live. They broadcast the story later. And So CNN arranged for some schools to have a satellite feed of the launch. So basically, if your school had CNN, you watched it as an American, and if your school didn't have CNN, there's a possibility that you watched it via satellite. But the people who watched it live are probably very small, very few in number, actually, because most people didn't have cable television in 1986, and the satellite program was only for like specific schools. So I would say in Canada, I probably didn't watch it, which is interesting. Okay, now I'm wondering. Hold on. Sorry, I'm going down a bunch of rabbit holes here today. Now I'm wondering, did Canadian school children have nuclear preparedness drills in the early 1980s? Mm, um, it's hard to say because there were those things, but it happened in 1961, which is like about 13 years before I was born. But there's no easy answer. There was a thing called Tosin B. There was one from 1961 that lasted 3 days. Um, okay, maybe duck and cover drills. Canada. Oh, okay. Well, according to AI, so it might not be. No, it might not be true, but like it says, yes, Canada had duck and cover drills during the 1980s as part of its Cold War civilian defense programs, although the drills largely faded out in the early 1980s due to waning interest and backlash, a perceived waste of money associated with them. In these drills, children were taught to hide under their desks and cover their heads and necks to protect themselves from the effects of nuclear attacks such as flying, glass, and debris. So that makes sense, actually, that they would have continued into the early 80s, and that's when they stopped. Because that's pretty much when I remember. I remember them. Okay, I'm going to put my sweater back on because I'm chilly. I'm cold. I'm hot. I'm hot when I'm cold. I'm cold when I'm hot. Yeah, so, but then, like, I grew up in a very rural area, so I mean, we had fire drills, so it wouldn't be out of the range of possibility that there were nuclear drills as well, especially if they'd been continuing since the, you know, since the 60s, because that was only, as I said, about 10 years before I was born. So it would make sense. But did it actually happen? I don't know. Llama, what are you doing there? Why are you there? What a place for you to be. Oh, yes. My glorious pyramid that looks kind of like those collapsible risers in school. It looks good from the outside. Like, look. It looks exactly like a pyramid from the outside. Ooh, and look at my sugar cane. Hello, Mr. Sheep. Oh yeah, and previously I mentioned my son's concern with dolphins eating fish, and I was like, "Well, what about the wolves?" He was like, "Yeah, right. I forgot about the wolves because the wolves also eat things." All right. All right. Yeah, I think the pyramid is basically going to be like a big treasury. They'll just keep everything in the pyramid eventually. Do, 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 do. I'm not sure if the Minecraft was interesting, but I had 2 questions answered today. And then also, if you're watching later to the stream or you're watching now, I would say it's really important to like challenge the memories you have uh, when you were a child. Not because your memories are necessarily wrong, but we tend to make a lot of assumptions, you know. So I assumed that I watched the Challenger disaster live because of, you know, the fact that we did talk about it, me and my friends. So, and, you know, when the Challenger disaster happened, I was 9 years old. So clearly it had some kind of effect on me. But yeah. And I think maybe it's just because we want to be part of, you know, that historical event that happened. Ew! Um, but speaking of historical events that happened, there are things that I do remember, like I maybe not live because I don't think we had a feed from Romanian television, but I remember watching the news in around 1989 when Ceausescu was executed. And I was like, whoa. Because basically, you grow up in the 80s, and the Russians are like the bad guys. And even though a lot of those countries had a lot of nuance to their relationship with the Soviet Union, like Romania, um, it's not like as a 12-year-old I would have understood that nuance. Was I 12 in 1980? Maybe like 11 in 1989. Um, yeah, so I remember that and being like really shocked that that was on TV, and probably also saw a news broadcast, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Probably not live again, because different continent, but on the news for sure. Because I don't know if any, I think people still do this now, but I haven't done that in a long time. Like, actually make time out of my day to watch the news. That's an interesting phenomenon as well. But when I was growing up, like 100% people made time out of their day to watch the news, like the 6 o'clock news, especially. And, people would still read the newspaper every day. Yeah, different world. Um, but one thing I'm like 100% sure I did experience live was the 9/11, because it happened when I had just finished university, and I was living with probably the first serious relationship in my life. Uh, so she was from Spain, and she worked for the Spanish embassy. It was kind of like a program to promote the teaching of Spanish. So she had gone, so we were living together in a dorm room. So she had gone to Toronto because she had some kind of meeting with the consulate. And so, I don't know, I think I was kind of I think I either worked at night or I was unemployed at this point. But anyway, I remember waking up, and one of the first things I would do in the morning is I would turn the computer on and I would read the newspaper, the online version, because this was this was like when you could still get the paper version, and also when the online version was free, which is also a crazy thing that now, if you want to have an acceptable, I mean, maybe not acceptable, but if you want to have an accurate version of reality, you have to pay for it. So reality is behind a paywall. Yeah. But anyway, I was looking at the newspaper, and it didn't work. And this was at the time like one of the most visited websites in Canada, and it was down. I was like, something happening? Like, is there an internet outage or something? So I went to other websites, and they also were. Well, actually, I don't think I went to other websites. I turned the TV on, and then it was just over and over again images of the towers falling, and there wasn't any real commentary, right? It was really surreal, because I can imagine if you were a kid and you saw that, you would be kind of traumatized, because people are running and there's explosions and stuff. Yeah, so I remember that. And then, as I said, my girlfriend was in Toronto, at this consulate, and the consulate was in a high-rise building, and they wouldn't let anybody out or something because they were worried that Toronto would be attacked. Toronto wasn't attacked, but yeah. It was a very strange day. And also, what was strange about it was, like, and I think that this is probably what led to a lot of conspiratorial thinking about that event, is hours after it happened, they were like, yes, it was Al Qaeda. It's like, so you knew hours after, but you couldn't have stopped it? Like, that was weird. And people were like really gung-ho for revenge. And I remember there was a local newspaper. I was living in Peterborough, Ontario at the time. That's where I went to university. And there was a newspaper called Peterborough This Week. And I think that there was a guy, a Roman Catholic priest, who had a column, and he was basically saying that the pilots, because I think Canada was going to send some pilots, he was saying like the pilots were doing God's work. It was like, the pilots are sent there to kill people, and you think that's God's work? And then, so I wrote a letter to the, I saved it somewhere. I wrote a letter to the editor and said, look, it's not God's work to kill people. And then basically the editor was like, yes, sometimes God works in mysterious ways. It's like, I don't think God ever said to kill people that you disagree with, but at least Jesus didn't say that. You know. So that is very convenient. But yeah, people were really gung-ho for that war. And I didn't really understand it at the time because, and they may have been lying, but basically the Taliban kind of figured out that America was pretty angry about this, and they said that they would give Osama bin Laden up in return for America not attacking Afghanistan. And I never understood why the Americans didn't just say, okay, let's do that. Because they spent like I don't know, 4 or 5 years after that. Like, Obama was president when they actually caught and killed Osama bin Laden. So, like, they thought that they were going to go into Afghanistan and they were going to just roll over Afghanistan and be able to destroy it and get Osama bin Laden quickly. But they were not able to do that. And they were all like, oh, we're going to bomb Afghanistan back to the Stone Age. And they really bombed this particular mountain, I think. But I guess by the time they had started the bombing, Osama bin Laden had left. So they wasted all of that ammunition on the mountain. And then, of course, the Taliban fled, and the Northern Alliance became the leaders of Afghanistan. And that war lasted for about 20 years. And then, as a parting gift to Biden, Trump was like, yeah, we're going to leave Afghanistan. Because Trump also, I mean, this is the one thing that I agree with Trump on. maybe there are other things, but I do agree with this, that he was like, that war never should have lasted that long. We never should have been in Iraq. But yeah, he definitely timed the withdrawal to hurt Biden. Yeah, and I remember also going to protests connected to the war in Iraq, because everybody knew at the time that there were no weapons of mass destruction. And it was only like two leaders who really legitimately, I mean, they knew that they were lying about that. And they were trying to make the connection of like Saddam Hussein was not a great guy, but he definitely wasn't connected to Al Qaeda. And removing Saddam basically put Al Qaeda in Iraq and worse things like ISIS. So yeah. But I remember going to protests against that war, and that was in 2003. And I went to some training to be an English teacher shortly after the war began. And I remember like talking to an American guy, and he's like, he was upset that Canada didn't go into the war. Like, we didn't go into the war because there was no reason. Well, basically, he was like, oh, Canada never supports America and we always support you. And it's like, actually, we went into Afghanistan with you. So, and we have a complicated relationship, America and Canada do. All right. Well, I'm thinking about a lot of topics, so I'm not sure they're interesting for people who are watching the stream, but yeah. That was also a weird time because I met this woman from Bulgaria named Ralitsa or Ralitsa or something. And I don't know how much I want to say, but basically we were this group of people, and people kept saying, oh, you'd make such a great couple. So eventually, oh, maybe I'll tell the whole story. Eventually we decided to maybe not try the couple thing, but we spent some time together, let's say, and there's two things that happened that need to be commented on. So one, she said that she had been training to be like a bodyguard, and that she had gone on a course in South Africa, and she had strongly suggested that as part of this course, she had learned to kill people and may have actually killed people. I was like, okay, that's not. So, like, one, you're crazy and you're inventing a crazy story, or two, you're crazy and you did something crazy and you're telling me about it. So that was weird. The only other, I mean, there was one weird thing, but I don't think I can talk about it on on a stream. But yeah, so we went out for dinner, and there was this. They don't have this so much in Poland now, but at the time there were like these restaurants where they would have like cheaper restaurants, and they'd have like the pictures of what they served, and then you could just like point and say, I want whatever, whatever, whatever. And so I saw a picture and it looked good, and it was a golonka. And a golonka is the knuckle of a pig. And when they cook it, it's basically like ham. So I didn't know what this was. So So it's like ham, and there were bristles from the pig, which are, if you know what bristles are, they're basically like pig hair on the skin on the outside, and it was so gross. And I was like, so I was thinking about that. And then this homeless guy came in, and he's like, "Hey, do you have any money?" in Polish. And I'm like, no, no, I don't. And he's like, "You have money to take your woman out for dinner, but you don't have any money for me," he says in Polish. He's quite drunk. And he takes his hand, and he's got these long fingernails, which are like, filled with dirt, and he grabs a hunk out of this galonka, and he like starts chewing on it. And people like, the people who own the restaurant are like yelling at him, and like he runs away. And my half finished galonka, which wasn't very appetizing to begin with, and I'm like, no, I'm not eating that. Oh god, so gross. One of the grossest things that ever happened to me. Yeah. The llamas really like this part. Yeah, so chat, what was the grossest thing that happened to you? I will check in a moment. Oh, no one has any comments about the grossest thing that happened to them. So she wrote to me later, and she was like, "Oh, Adam, how are you doing? I miss you." It was so weird because it was not a pleasant time. Like, I didn't have a pleasant time. Maybe she had a pleasant time, but it's so strange. I don't remember her last name, thankfully. Um, yeah, it's weird because there were more people in that program, and the program was like almost a month long. So the only thing I remember is the American guy who thought that Canada betrayed them for not joining in the invasion of Iraq. This Bulgarian woman, Ralitsa, and the situation I mentioned with a homeless guy. And then I was waiting for class once, and I drew freehand like a map of the world, and I was doing it from memory. And I'm not a very good drawer, but I remember the teacher being impressed. And that's pretty much all I remember of the teacher. And I think there was another American who was blonde in the class. And the class was probably like 20 people, probably. But I don't remember anything else that happened. But it isn't that strange because it was only a month, and it was like 20 years ago. So I don't know if you could remember something that happened in the span of 1 month 20 years ago. Probably not. What other stories can I tell you? Oh, maybe someday in the future, historians will watch these streams to get like information about the experiences of a random guy who was born at the end of one century and got old at the beginning of another one. Mm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of more like memories connected to important things that I have, but I don't think so. I think 9/11 was probably the biggest thing in the Iraq War. Was pretty big. Ew. Um, yeah, I don't know. Now I've like I'm just remembering absolutely everything that happened to me. Actually, like I started, like I went. Okay, so this is a completely random story, and it doesn't really have any connection to the other stories I was telling. But so when I was a boy in the mid to late '80s, I was a Cub Scout, and I was a Cub Scout because there weren't very many things for kids to do in the town where I grew up because basically it was dying and we were probably, I don't know, there might be children there now, but we basically were probably the last or the penultimate generation of children to live there. So anyway, they had a cub troop and they had this like really evil looking um, wolf, and it was, I think, probably some part of normal. Wait a minute. I think it was called Akira. One second. Evil looking wolf in Cub Scouts. Um, okay, I don't know. I think that was just some kind of prop that they had, but it was evil looking and like it was snarling. It was like this wolf head, black wolf head that was snarling. And they would keep it in the church's basement. And my dad cleaned the church as one of his many part time jobs. And oh, I was kind of terrified to go down there. And they kept it in this room. So you'd open the room, and then there'd be this like creepy looking wolf head there. Yeah, anyway, the scout master or cub master, I don't know what she was called, was this lady, and she was pretty old, and she had um, a son who was also involved in the Cubs, but I'm not sure if it was actually officially. But I don't know how old he was actually, but I had a feeling that he seemed to be an adult, but he may not have been. He might have just been like a teenager who was helping out his mom. I don't know. So we go on our first camping trip, and it's me and my best friend at the time, Bill, and we have this tent, and we're trying to put it up together, and no one has ever taught us how to put up a tent because this is our first time camping. And he is yelling at us. I forgot what this guy's name was, but he's yelling at us like, "You guys are idiots. You can't do anything right." And I'm like, "Did you actually explain what we're supposed to be doing?" Uh, yeah. And then on the way back from that camping trip, uh, there was like a downpour of rain, and we all got really, really wet. And they decided to keep the window open while we're all like soaking wet. And I'm like sitting there, and I don't know how far away we were from home, but I was shivering. Oh, it was so bad. Surprised I didn't die of pneumonia or something. But yes, I'm kind of surprised I survived my childhood, to be honest. Yeah. So, um, I'm not sure that there were good memories, but I had other memories of being a cub. Like we planted trees that are still there, 30 years later, which is nice. We did this thing around Halloween where we would sell apples, I believe, and we would make our like baskets colorful. So that was also fun, or at least something I remember. I don't know if it was fun or not. Probably it wasn't. Um, Random memories. Okay. Um, so I also remember that we had this neighbor, and they lived in the house next door, and the neighbor and his wife got divorced. So they left the house and they sold the house, and they took all of their stuff from the house, and then later some other family would move in. But before that, my brother was snooping around in the guy's garage, and he found this huge collection of porn. And he took the huge collection of porn and he put it in his room under his bed. And I discovered that he had this collection of porn in his um, under his bed, or I don't know if it was in his closet or something. And my mom also discovered that he had this collection, and we had this like family meeting. It was the only family meeting we ever had. And my mom, I think her intentions were good, but she was basically like, "Boys, you have to understand, these are not real women. And I was like, but they are. Because her point was like, real women are not going to be like this. Which, depending on whatever they were doing, it's not true. And depending on your sexual appetites and whatever. But anyway, that's not why I started to tell this story. So he had this huge collection of porn, and I told my friends at school, like, that my brother found this huge collection of porn, and they were like really, really interested because they were boys, right? So they're like, you got to bring some to school. And I'm like, how am I going to bring some to school? I don't know how to do that. And I don't know, I might be like elaborating a little bit. Maybe it was all my idea. I don't know. Anyway, I took one magazine to school and I hid it in this gigantic book my mom gave me about evolution called The Descent of Man. So it's got like this crazy Cro-Magnon guy on the cover. Yeah, I remember it was a pretty big book. So we're sitting there. Well, I don't know how we didn't get caught. Well, maybe we got caught, but we didn't get in trouble because so it's like a really nice day. It's towards the beginning of summer, and me and about 6 or 7 boys are sitting under a tree looking at this book. And I'm sure the teachers were like, that is odd. So, yeah. I think that also makes you like, that's also like a generational marker. Like, did you find porn somewhere in the woods or a garage or something? Was that your first encounter with it? Back in my day, we had to work for the porn. Yeah. What else can I talk about? Mm, one of my classmates, her name was Rose Bouquet. And I didn't really get how ridiculous, because I didn't really get how ridiculous that name was until I was older, because she was in my class from like, kindergarten to probably the end of high school, actually. So what a poor child, you know. There were twins in the class. Maybe I think they were older than me, but one of the twins failed, so she was in my class. They were called Lori Lynn and Mary Lynn. Yep. Dawn. Oh, and Crystal. Not Crystal, but Crystal. And I think the boys had also. I mean, they're probably old-fashioned names now, but like Jeff, there were at least 3 Jeffs. 2 Jeffs in one class. Paul, Jason, Adam, one Adam, Matthew. Yeah, but rose bouquet. That's. I think there's a special place in hell for somebody who names their child like that. It's also very close to the place where, if you have twins, you dress them the same. I saw that, like, I don't know where that was. I think it was in real life. And I was like really upset by that because, you know, it wasn't like a special event or anything. But even if it was a special event, that's worse because can you imagine you're like looking at pictures of your, I don't know, preschool graduation and your mom has dressed you to look exactly the same as your sister. And you're like, oh, which one's me? Not that your mom would remember if they dressed you differently anyway, probably, but they could, like, it's bad when they're identical twins. Like, it's horrible. Like, if they're not identical twins, then yeah, maybe. But like identical twins, ugh. Because if you dress them differently, then your parents can just say, "Oh, that's Jessica," you know. And they don't know if it's Jessica. They can just repeat and repeat and repeat that it's Jessica, and then Jessica will be like, "Oh yeah, it's me." Good for Jessica. You know what I mean? I'm sure you do. No. So that school that I went to doesn't exist anymore. But I wonder if they ever had any like reunions or something. Probably not. I think my high school had reunions, but nobody ever invited me, which is great because my high school time was really crappy. Yeah, in retrospect, I much preferred primary school to high school and university. Well, even though I was poor and hungry most of the time and depressed a lot of the time, I think it was better than both of them because, well, I mean, maybe not better than uh, primary school, just different, of course. Can you imagine if university was like primary school? It's like, yeah, we're having a nap now. Get your nap mat out. People should still do that though. Um, one difference between university in at least Canada and Poland is in Poland you have to have PE lessons in university, which is I can kind of see why they do that, but that's a bit ridiculous. Imagine you're studying to be a doctor and you still have to like run. Ooh, not close at all. It's also weird to think about like I have a feeling that my kids had a better childhood than I did. But it's all about your perception actually. So, do they think they had a good one? I should ask. them. But also, I wonder if I could go back and, go back and see the things that I saw as a kid if I thought that it would be you know if my perception as a child and looking back at it, if I would have the same perception, if you know what I mean. Probably not. But I think actually and this is pretty dark. I think when you're a kid, you think a lot of things are normal because they're happening to you, so you assume that they're normal, but you know they might not be. And not to say like that sounded like I was talking about being molested or something, but no, nothing like that happened. Although one time, now that I'm telling a bunch of stories, I think I'll tell that story as well. Yeah, nothing specifically like that happened, but you know, I don't think. I think so either I would be shocked by how bad it was, or I'd be shocked like the other way, like, oh, I thought it was bad, but actually it wasn't bad at all. And that would be great. Which is why probably if people invented time machines, they'd spend it looking at their own lives, right? Um, so anyway, uh, the story about the potential molestation. Um, so I belonged to um, a writers group because I wanted to be a poet, and so I belonged to this group, and they um, ooh, dirt. So I belonged to this group, and I would go to meetings, but this writers group was for the entire county. So they basically would move the meetings around to wherever somebody lived. And, you know, the county was, I don't know how big across it was, but basically to drive from my house to the biggest city in the county took about like an hour. So that's how big it was. So pretty big. So anyway, there was these writing events, and I would go, and it's like a typical writing group. They'd like critique your work and give you feedback and stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool. Maybe I didn't think it was pretty cool, but anyway, I was doing it, and there was maybe I'm confusing him with somebody else. I don't want to confuse him with somebody else, but because there was a guy who was really into the Baha'i faith, but I think this is not the guy that I'm thinking about. And then there was a guy who was like really into scuba diving, and there was another uh, lady who was really nice, but really old. Like she reminded me of my grandmother. And during the first meeting, she offered to drive me home, and because she was so old, she kind of fell asleep because I think I was like 13, 14 or something. when I went to this writers group. So anyway, she offered to drive me home, and she fell asleep, and we nearly crashed and died. So the next time I went to one of these meetings, because my parents would drive me, and then somebody would drive me back. Right, was how it worked. So the next time I went to one of these meetings, my this other guy who was really into scuba diving, he decided to give me a ride back. And I was like, thank you very much. And he's like, oh, he's like, where do you live? And I'm like, oh, I live, which is crazy, right? Like sending your kid to some writers group that's an hour away and assuming that somebody's going to give them a ride back. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, I live here. He's like, okay, I can give you a ride back. And it's there is a couple of different ways you can travel to my home from wherever we were, I remember. And one was the direct route and one was like very, very indirect. And he took the very, very indirect route. And I'm like, I think he was waiting for me to fall asleep. And he put his hand on my knee. And remember, I'm like a 13-year-old boy, and I woke up, and then luckily he didn't do anything else, and then he just dropped me off. But whew, I did not go back to that group after that. So yeah. But I'm lucky in that regard that that's the only thing like that happened. I'm sure other people are not so lucky. Why do you guys just stand there like that? They're listening to my story. Oh. All right. My son only joined the game. Where is he? He's somewhere. I think he was looking for some parrot for me. And so he is like, he's off in the middle of nowhere. Seeing if he texted me or something. Mm-hmm. He did not. I think he's over there. Maybe. I don't know where he is. I was planning to finish the stream after 3 hours anyway, but he's not talking to me, but he joined me. He's in that direction, somewhere in a boat. Oh. Okay, I didn't see that you answered. I didn't see that he answered. Where are you? You're on a boat in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I know. I mean, you're watching? Yes, I know. I guess. I guessed that. Did you hear all my weird stories? Hopefully you just joined. I mean, they're true, but a bit embarrassing. Oh, wow. I didn't notice that before, but there's like an island over there. So I think when I finish my pyramid. Okay. Yes. So the lesson is just to be careful. And yes. Are you on a boat in the middle of nowhere? You're in that direction. Yeah, there's an island there that I didn't see before. And Quebec is over there. Somewhere. Looking for a parrot. Maybe. Or maybe he's coming back. Who knows? It's a mystery. 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 Yeah, musical. Cha cha cha. What is that? Oh, there's bubbles. Why are there bubbles? That's weird. Maybe there's something down there. Something dangerous. Maybe on another stream I'll talk about like the electronic entertainment we had. If I run out of things to say. Did you practice math? I mean, I'm not asking the stream if they practice math, but maybe. I mean, if you needed to practice math, did you practice math? Oh, wait. He's close. Maybe? Maybe he's close. I don't know. I think he's getting closer. I need to make the pyramid so he can see where to go. You forgot math. Well, you still have tomorrow. Where are you? It's there somewhere. In the vast ocean of oceanness. And some random dirt, because why not? Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, you might be close, but you might be very far away. I don't know. I'm at minus 476, comma 63, comma 1537. My former team recommends, somebody from my former team recommends watching the. Oh, you're trying to get to the jungle. I see. That's why you're not getting closer. Somebody from my former team recommends some new Frankenstein movie on Netflix. But it's funny, I don't know. They were like, oh, it's so close to the book. It's like we had Frankenstein movies that were close to the book. There was one starring Robert De Niro, I think. But it's not a new thing. And even the one from 1937, Bride of Frankenstein, is very close to the book. But, guys, I have been streaming for 3 hours now, almost. So it is time for me to slowly say goodbye. If I could recap the stream and the journey that we've been on together, I have talked about historical events. I've talked about events in my own life, some embarrassing, some not embarrassing. Yeah. So if you are interested in watching this stream, you can watch the video on demand on Twitch, which is available for 7 days, I believe, or you can go and watch on YouTube, which is available forever, or as long as YouTube lasts and as long as my account lasts. But yeah, so the next stream, I will be streaming on Wednesday, and I will be probably streaming a game called Europa Universalis 4. And yeah, I'm looking. My new goal for subscribers on YouTube is is 150 subscribers, because I reached the Christmas goal of 100. So 150 subscribers by the end of January. If you'd like to, watch the next stream, please join me Wednesday, approximately 5:30 my time to approximately 8:30 my time, or Thursday, approximately 5:30 my time to 8:30 my time. I did start on time today, as I see. All right. Thank you, buddy. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.